Recovery Elevator episode 579.
I didn't see myself living to be very old. I'm pushing 50 years old. I was having anxiety and pain, and I couldn't move as well as I was. So I just had to quit. I'm tired. I just can't do it anymore.
Welcome to the Recovery Elevator podcast. My name is Paul Churchill, and this is how we quit. On today's episode, we have Butch. He's 49 years old from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he took his last drink of alcohol on November 1st, 2025. Great job, Butch. I recently came across an article with the title, "Bloodbath Hits Wine Country as Millennials and Boomers Abandon Alcohol." Yikes. It's a bloodbath for all grape growers across California. Stuart Spencer, executive director of the Lodi Wine Grape Commission, told Forbes. It's the worst market condition growers have seen in their lifetime. Holy buckets, listeners. This does not seem to be slowing down, and this is the first time I've read boomers in the mix. Usually it's just Gen Z and millennials being smarter than the previous generation, but now it's the boomers. So there's 99 reasons for this, alcohol being shit being the big one. But another thing that's coming into the fold is the rise of GLP-1 drugs, think Ozempic. And this can help reduce alcohol consumption and cravings. Yeah, so GLP-1 drugs, it's probably something we're going to be covering on this podcast shortly. I just want to do a little bit more research first. But overall, the American drug cartels called Big Alcohol, they're Yo, I need your help. The RE team and the Cafe RE team were trying to get me on one of my favorite podcasts, the Rich Roll podcast. So here's the plan. If listeners today, on Monday, could email Rich at info@richroll.com and let him know why you think I'd be a good guest, that would be awesome. Again, info@richroll.com. Let's fill up his inbox. Okay. Let's get started. I have quoted Steve-O several times on this podcast, and Steve-O is the former MTV Jackass star who struggled hard with addiction, and now he's been sober for a long time. So I'm going to play a clip of a recent interview of his and then cover some points. Here we go.
One thing I didn't say about alcoholism before is that that I'm super grateful that I have it so bad that I don't have to wonder if I need to be involved in all of the stuff that sober people do. Because the worst thing would be to kind of have alcoholism. The worst thing would be to have alcoholism just bad enough that it really slows you down, destroys your potential, gets in the way of but it's not so bad that it has to stop. So it just years. How many people do I know with just the years slipping through their fingers and they're just blowing it?
The worst thing would be to kind of have alcoholism. The worst thing would be to have alcoholism just bad enough where it really slows you down, destroys your potential, and gets in the way of everything. I think that's what he said. It was bleeped out. And then he talks about the people he knows where the years are just slipping through their fingers and they're blowing it. Let's first defang the word alcoholism. You call it whatever you want. I know that can be a heavy word for some, but let's focus on the end where he says that so many are just blowing it. I take that as in people who are kind of struggling with alcohol are walking through their entire life numb. They are slowly rotting their brains with poison until dementia finishes the job. Nobody wakes up and decides to destroy their mind. It just happens quietly while life passes by. But you guys got the wake-up call. You're here, you're listening, and you're done with that. Again, Steve-O said the worst thing would be to kinda have alcoholism, to kinda have a drinking problem. Kinda. That word should scare the hell out of you. Because kinda is where people live for 20 years. Kinda is how you blow your 40s. Kinda is how you show up halfway to everything that matters for your kids, your marriage, your job, your actual life, and then wonder why nothing ever feels real. Kinda is when you reach the end of your life and say, what the hell happened? Kinda struggling with alcohol is an absolute catastrophe. It's just sick enough to stay stuck and not sick enough to burn it all down and start over. And while you're busy deciding whether it's really that bad, the years are doing what they do. They pass by. And here's the other side of what Steve-O is saying. He's not just describing a trap, he's describing a clear escape plan, meaning accepting reality. 17 years sober, still standing, still laughing, he's still Steve-O. And you know what? You've already made the call and you're past the kinda phase. You made the call. Maybe it was messy, maybe you're still early, maybe some days you're not sure you're doing it right, but you are here, fully here. You're not just kinda here. Well, if you've got one earbud in, put the other earbud in, because we're done with kinda. You've made a decision. Don't question that decision, because the years that are left, they're yours, actually yours, and I want you to show up for them. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this intro. Before we hear from Butch, I want to mention this is an ad from BetterHelp. In March, we've got International Women's Day. It's a moment to celebrate women's strength and progress while also recognizing how much they carry every day. I know in our own household, my wife does so much heavy lifting, especially now that we have a child that seems to run around the house and just make messes everywhere. So listeners, I want you to take a moment and pause and reflect on the roles that women play in your lives. And also think about the expectations placed on them and the pressures that they feel. Women, you all deserve major kudos and support. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and they've got an average rating of 4.9 stars out of 5, and there's 1.7 million client reviews. Women, your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off betterhelp.com/elevator. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/elevator. Butch, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you feeling about coming on the podcast and doing an interview?
Feeling great.
Well, Butch, let's get right into this. When was your last drink?
It was November 1st, 2025.
Heck yeah. At the time of this recording, 3 months was just a couple weeks ago, man. How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic.
Heck yeah. Well, Butch, before we get into your story, give listeners some background about yourself. This is where you're calling in from, your age. What does your professional life look like, your family life, and then what do you like to do for fun?
Well, my name is Butch. I calling in from Indianapolis, Indiana. I live here with my wife. I'm 49 years old. We've got one cat named Ezra, who kind of hangs around here all the time. For fun, I'm trying to learn how to play the bass, and I just recently am getting started into blogging.
I see your shirt says Pink Floyd on it. Am I reading that right?
That's right.
Have you heard of a band called Pinky and the Floyd?
I have not.
Okay, it's a Pink Floyd cover band, and they're based out of Bozeman, Montana. So, yeah, they're awesome. I love Pink Floyd. And have you heard the song Comfortably Numb?
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, that guitar solo was one of the reasons why I learned how to play guitar. Such a good song. What's your favorite Pink Floyd song?
Probably Comfortably Numb.
So good. And then tell me about the bass guitar. You said you're learning it or picking it back up again?
I'm learning it. I've got basically a beginner Fender that I'm just kind of started playing around with.
Is it a 4-string or a 5-string?
This one's a 4-string.
Cool. Do you play with music, or what does it look like when you pick it up and play?
Yeah, I usually try to learn with following along with different songs. I like 90s alternative, so I'm trying to learn a lot of that kind of stuff. So
you like 90s alternative. All right. What are some of your bands?
I like Alice in Chains a lot, Better Than Ezra, those kind of bands. So
I remember being in the 7th grade in a carpool. I'm in the back of a minivan, probably 7:30 in the morning, and somebody throws in, it was the Offspring CD. And I was just like, what is this? It was the coolest thing ever. And then Green Day, then we started listening to Green Day on the way to school, the Dookie album. Love that genre. It's not too much alternative, but yeah, just such a cool decade for music, the 90s. All right, Butch, let's do this. I'm going to turn it over to you with your story. I'll jump in with questions. Let's go.
I guess I had my first drink probably when I was in high school, like a lot of people. I found it made me cut loose, relax. I was funny. So I really kind of enjoyed it. It just made me feel great. And from there, it was high school, so I just kind of did on and off there until I got, I would say, my first apartment with my girlfriend. This was 1997-ish, so I was about 20 years old. We just had our first kid. From there, I was on my own, and I could drink whenever I wanted at that point. So it escalated. It just took off from there. I could drink all the time. Nobody knew what I was doing. I had nobody except for my wife around at the time, you know. It was just no holds bar, basically. So I had responsibilities then, and I mean, I was just partying, couldn't hold a job very well, just off the rails, even right from there. Just at a young age, which should have been a red flag, I guess. This went on for, I don't know, about a year and a half probably. And then I did eventually learn to reel it in a little bit. So I figured out that I could be more responsible with it a little bit. I held a job and I just held it down to just the weekends. And this went on for, this was a ridiculously long time. But so that was my time to drink, was just basically the weekend. I like to drink hard booze. I would drink beer and stuff too. Don't get me wrong, but my go-to was hard alcohol, rum and cokes, stuff like that. I was a binge drinker. But yeah, the weekends, that was my time, especially in the evenings when I was by myself. I'd go to my little man cave area and let her rip.
Butch, you said there were red flags from the start. Would you ever have considered yourself a normal drinker, or was it problematic the first time when you started drinking?
I would say I thought I was a normal drinker at the time, and I was just, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm young. What difference does it make? I'm like in my young 20s at this point. So when the time comes, I'll be fine. The fact is that it never stopped at one. It never, ever stopped at one. Should have been a big red flag right there.
Tell me more about that. It never stopped at one. And then when did you realize that, wait, this will never, ever stop at one?
If it was one, it was going to be 15, 20, for sure. It probably took me a good while before I really, really thought about it as being a huge problem. Nobody really said anything to me about it. I ended up getting a decent job. I could hold a job and stuff at this point. I'm getting into my 30s. We end up we were in a house at this point. We ended up buying a second house. Now, this house is great. So I bought this house from my mother and father. My selling point on this house was great. It had a finished basement with a man cave and a full bar. So I was like, oh, this is great. It allowed me to basically, on the weekends, after everybody went to bed, I went down there and I would just cut loose. And this was my time to, basically all I was doing was isolating myself. I didn't realize it at the time. Here I am thinking I'm just cutting loose and having fun. And I'm isolating myself more and more and more. And as I get older, it's getting, I'm getting blackout. I'm telling myself, oh, I'll just have a couple tonight and I'm going to go to bed early. It never happened like that.
Butch, did anybody in your life say, hey, you're a little slow to get the day started the next day? Or what's going down in that man cave?
Absolutely. My ex-wife, she was always telling me, you need to get up and get moving. What's going on? And I feel like crap. Oh, I'm not drinking tonight. I'll be fine. And as the night went on and my hangover went away, I'm right back at it again the next night. Every time.
What was that like when you said, all right, I'm done with this, and then that night you find yourself drinking? What did that feel like?
I always had an excuse. Oh, well, it must have just been, I just didn't feel good. I didn't get enough sleep. I was tired. It was never, ever the alcohol doing it. I always had 100 reasons as to why I needed to go downstairs and do that.
When did you realize, wait a second, this is the alcohol?
I would say, honestly, my early 40s is when I started to really take a look in the mirror and go, oh, maybe something's going on. Maybe I have a problem. And I kind of started to tell my wife that. My ex-wife, I was like, I think maybe I want to take a month off of this. And I was like, would you take a month off with me? I'll never forget this, but she said to me at the time, she was like, you're the one with the problem. Why should I be punished? And those words right there, when she said that, that was just like well, I'm not going to be punished. I don't want to be punished. I'm not doing anything wrong. From then on, for a long, long time, I mean, it was just, screw it. I'll just go out there and drink like I feel like drinking.
Yeah, that's not the ideal response you want to get from your spouse, but I also see where their thinking is coming from as well. So I'm guessing the month did not happen.
No, not at that time at all. Our marriage ended up falling apart in my mid 40s. I had a couple kids there. They don't talk to me anymore because of all this that went on. And eventually ended up getting remarried not too long after that to my current wife. Now, she doesn't drink. She really, really pushed me to, hey, there's something wrong here. You need to get this under control. This is not normal.
And Butch, let me ask you this. Earlier you said, well, I need to take a month off. Usually that's because there are painful experiences that are going on with alcohol. Can you describe with that? Was it the hangovers? Was it mental clarity? Was physically, were you slowing down? Maybe it was your liver starting to hurt?
Yeah, I was getting anxiety, horrible anxiety. So I'd wake up and I would just be anxious as all get out. I wouldn't feel good. I was tired all the time. I didn't want to do anything. Missing kids' activities on Saturday mornings, and my ex-wife was taking them everywhere by herself. It was bad. I knew it wasn't right.
Gotcha. And anxiety, that's a huge one. That's what finally pushed me off the fence into the waters of sobriety. Okay, so it sounds like you're in your mid-40s and you recognize you got to cut back. What happens next, Butch?
I ended up trying. We ended up getting married in July 2022. And a couple of weeks after that, I said, I'm going to give this a shot. So I did. I gave it a shot. We went for about 7 months. I think I went all together without drinking. We ended up going on a vacation together to Hawaii. I didn't have a drop to drink the whole time we were there. We had another wedding there, a celebration there and stuff. And it was a great time. I was loving it. I really, really liked it. That's what really got me interested in it. Then in February for my birthday, we decided to go to Vegas. And that's where that fell off.
So at 7 months for your birthday, you went to Vegas.
Yep.
Okay. But in those 7 months, how did you see your body physically and mentally respond without alcohol?
Oh, it was great. I was losing weight. I was sleeping better. I had so much energy. I started working out again, eating right. We were active. We were getting along fantastic at this time. My anxiety was 100 times better. I did not take any kind of anxiety medicine or anything like that. I was feeling great.
Gotcha. Were you able to pinpoint it like, oh shit, the anxiety, feeling tired, lethargy? Oh, that was alcohol?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No doubt.
So at month 7, you're in Vegas. Hey, I just went 7 months. I'm in Vegas. It's my birthday. You drink. Was your wife cool with that? And then what happens next?
We kind of argued with it, but eventually I was pretty persistent about it and she gave it. And I'm thinking, oh, I can do this. I can handle this on my own. I can moderate this. No problem. And I did pretty well while we were there, actually. I moderated for the most part while we were there. I think there was one night I might have got a little too much, but it wasn't overly bad. Then we get back, and as the months go on, I find myself, I'm just going to make a rum and coke in the kitchen. As I'm pouring one in there, I'm pouring an extra shot for myself in the kitchen. And same thing again, Now, she was big she watched me. She didn't let me just go downstairs and do my own thing by myself. The basement was pretty much done then because she was going to babysit me and make sure I didn't get any kind of trouble or anything like that. So it was more up here. So that kind of stopped that, which was a good thing, I think, in the end. But so this went on for, I don't know, a couple more years, probably up until really recently. And it was I just started to feel like crap again. I felt so bad. I was the same thing. Anxiety was back. I wasn't happy with myself, gaining weight. I'm looking in the mirror one day. I'm thinking, man, I'm about to be 49 years old. I can't do this. This is going to kill me one day if I don't get a handle on it now. And there's no moderating it. It's just time to stop.
How did you wrap your head around that? There's no moderating. I can't control this. I have to just stop. And what did that feel like?
For me, it was, I listened to your podcast 100 times, and I decided the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell everybody. I'm going to tell my mom and dad. I'm going to tell all of her family. And so I did. I told them, well, look, I got a problem with this and I've got to stop. And I just need to tell everybody what's going on and just lay it all out there. And that's that. So
Dang.
I did.
Yeah, we call that burning the ships here at Recovery Elevator. What were their responses?
They were all very supportive. Everybody's been very supportive, very proud of me. Nobody's, of course, pushed back at all in any way or try to talk me out of it or anything like that.
Okay. Was that around your sobriety date of November 1st of 2025? Did you have those conversations or a little bit before that?
Right around then. 2020, right about that weekend, probably.
All right. I want to make a point here. When I started to burn the ships for me in 2014, it's no coincidence my sobriety date landed shortly after that. And Butch is telling us that he burned the ships and boom, pushed him forward into the waters of sobriety. Here we are, 3.5 months in. and some change or around there. What was it like on those first couple days, that first week without alcohol?
The first week was tough. I never had like the withdrawal symptoms or the shakes or anything like that. Great hangover from my last hoorah there on the November 1st. I got up and I was just like, look, I've got it. Just this is it. I'm doing it. And I stuck with it. And yeah, it was kind of like I was nervous about it, obviously. I stuck with it. About 2 weeks into it, I decided, well, I'm gonna start working out again and eating right. And I started that about a week, and I was like, man, I really, really am starting to feel great. I feel good again. So my wife and I started going for walks, going to bed early. I felt so much better, and I still feel so much better.
Butch, you said made the decision. And I know some listeners are like, all right, Butch made the decision. Wait, I've made the decision hundreds of times to quit, yet I'm still drinking. And I made the decision hundreds of times to quit, and I couldn't quit. So what do you think that was for you? You made the decision to quit. Explain that a bit more.
My health, I didn't see myself living to be very old. I'm pushing 50 years old. I was having anxiety and pain, and I couldn't move as well as I was. So I just had to quit. I'm tired. I just can't do it anymore.
Was there a higher power involved, or is prayer part of your life? Did you invite the universe, others call it God, onto your mission into sobriety?
Yeah, it's funny because with my ex-wife, we never went to church, never did anything like that. My current wife is big on church and stuff like that. So that's one of the things we did start doing, was going to church. That helped me a lot. Prayer helped me a lot. I've been to AA meetings. I haven't been too much, but I do like it. I actually do plan on going to more. I enjoy it. I think that does help me. It helps me to kind of stay focused, just listening to other people talk and their stories and what they've gone through.
All right, before we hit the record button, I asked Butch if he is in uncharted waters, and he said no. And then you later explained you were 7 months alcohol-free before your birthday in Las Vegas. What's the plan moving forward? Are you taking this one day at a time? I'm guessing you are, but are you hoping to go the long run with this, with your alcohol goals of not drinking?
Absolutely. I don't ever plan to do it again. I really don't. And it is a one day at a time thing. Like I said, I told everybody, so there's no secret out there. I'll tell you right now, one of the hardest things I ever did, and I just did this probably within the last 6 weeks, was to tell everybody I work with. And, a lot of them drink and stuff like that. But Steve and them, there's been no pushback. And a lot of those guys I'm finding out have also quit drinking and stuff like that, which I was really surprised about. But I don't want to drink again.
I was going to ask, what was the response with your fellow employer or your employees that you work with, and there was no pushback, and then you found out that even some of them are sober or maybe have struggled with alcohol. And those are responses that you get. You're going to get, wow, awesome, Butch, good on you. And then the other most common one is you're going to hear, wait a second, yeah, me too. I'm also sober, or I'm struggling with alcohol myself. So I'm a huge proponent here at Recovery Elevator that we talk about this, that we shred the shame and burn the ships and be open about it. Butch, what are some of your resources and recovery tools that you use daily to help you stay sober?
I listen to the podcast a lot, this one and a couple other ones that I listen to. I like to read. I read I can't think of the name of the book right now, but it's the one by Anne Grace.
Yeah, This Naked Mind.
Yes, yeah. That one. That's helped me a lot.
And also, Butch, thank you for listening to this podcast. What other ones? You can definitely mention other recovery podcasts on this one. Yeah, what else do you listen to?
That Sober Guy podcast, I listened to that one. And there was another one, but I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head right now.
And Butch, what are your thoughts on relapse?
I mean, I guess anything is possible. I really hope not. Like I said, it's a one day at a time thing. I did start blogging and started this blog, and that's to also help me to stay very accountable. That was a huge tool for me to start that, just for that reason.
With blogging, I mean, that's almost like a journal of sorts. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do a blog. Is your blog in the recovery space?
It's more in the health and wellness as far as dieting and exercising goes. But I'm finding out that my sobriety story is definitely sneaking in there quite a bit. So I've been speaking about it and talking about how much it's helped me to do this. They've just interacted with each other as far as being healthy and eating right and staying sober. And just going back and forth. And my goal is to put this out there to help other people with anything like that.
Yeah, and how does that feel to get it inside of you, out into a Word document or whatnot, with the goal of helping other people?
No, it feels great. It feels absolutely wonderful. And I've had nothing but positive responses it's been mostly, I just started it. So mostly just friends and stuff like that have read it, but they all like it a lot. So it's a good thing.
Butch, let's talk cravings. Have you craved alcohol in the last 3 months?
Yeah, I won't say I haven't. That's for sure. I definitely have. I just recently, last week, had a birthday. I didn't drink at all on it, obviously, but we ended up going out to a place around here. It's a microbrewery, but they have really good food, actually, really, really good food. And it didn't really bother me. I didn't drink. I had the food there, and that was fine. As a matter of fact, nobody that went drank. Not one person there that came. There was a group of 12 of us. None of them drank. And then afterward, I think my she's got a few kids, and they all ended up going to a bar. And I was like, yeah, we could go. That'll be all right. So I did that. I had an athletic brew when I was there. And actually, we ended up leaving within about an hour. It was just smoky. And I was just like, I just don't even want to be here. So we ended up just going home. I was like, I'm just not even enjoying it anymore.
Butch, a lot of people postpone or don't quit drinking at all because they say, I can't go through this experience sober. Can't do it. In the last 3 months, can you give us an experience that you went through that was perhaps challenging, maybe the old Butch would have drank?
Oh, sure. I'll give you one. So this whole month, January was the last month was really rough. So it started out, first off, it's Indiana. It gets cold. It gets dark early. So we get that to deal with. We get bombarded with snow here. So we're all stuck inside. I have an injury where I end up bruising my ribs. Stopped me from working out. Stopped me from really wanting to do anything like that. And of course, it was tempting to drink. Obviously, I'm going, well, I can't do this. I can't do that. What am I supposed to do now? But I pushed through. I kept doing the blog, even though I wasn't working out and stuff, to let myself recover. And I made sure I didn't drink. I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this again. I am done with this. So, yeah, this is a tough last month. I mean, up until probably yesterday. Heck, it just now started getting up into the 50s, and the snow finally melted a little bit around here. So,
Butch, when you said, nope, not going to do this, I'm not going to drink, were you talking to another voice inside your head that's like, yo, Butch, there's a lot of snow outside. We know what to do.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That voice was there. Yeah. Hey, you can go downstairs and have a good old time. Absolutely. But nope, that's not an option.
Butch, do you have any recovery quotes, sayings, or mantras that have helped you in the last 3 months?
Probably the Serenity Prayer. That one, I've got a poster of that on my bathroom wall, and I see every morning when I'm getting ready for work.
Yep, love that one. And Butch, in the last 10 years or so, have you seen the alcohol-free movement shift, maybe more alcohol-free offerings at restaurants or more alcohol-free bars popping up? You mentioned a group of 12 going out to eat and there was no drinks consumed.
I didn't really notice it until I quit drinking. But since I've quit drinking, it's amazing. There's so many alcohol-free drinks out there now as far as different. I mean, just everybody's making beers. And I mean, even beers I like I think Modelo's getting ready to come out with one I just heard. And Heineken 0.0. I'm like, hey, this is great. So I don't really feel like I'm missing anything. Or if I'm sitting around with a group of friends or something like that, I can have one of those and still fit in.
Butch, I have a video series on Instagram where I pick up an alcohol container and I act like it's filled with pure venom, which it kind of is. You get the point. Yeah. And the other day I saw one and then I got we got to go back and film this. I don't plant any of these things. I just find them and that's where we make the video. And I was sneaking up on it. I put a rubber glove on. I flipped the bottle over or the can and it's a Michelob 0.0. I've never seen that. Yeah, Michelob Ultra. I used to be a big fan of those beers and I am going to try Michelob 0.0. I will support that for sure. A couple more questions before we hit the rapid fire round, Butch. Let's talk anxiety. How has that been for you in the last 3 months? Do you still get anxiety and how do you deal with it?
Sometimes, and I've noticed I was on anti-anxiety medicines and I quit those about a month ago. I was going to a therapist and she told me, why don't you try to come up with them and see how that does? And I feel so much better now. The anxiety's gone. It really isn't. I mean, it's just amazing how many medicines there are, antidepressants and things like that. I think all of it was alcohol. I really do. Because it seems like I come off of that. I come off all these and I'm like, well, this isn't so bad. Yeah, I feel great.
Where do you want to go with this? Like what's on your bucket list? You heard play of the bass guitar, right? Yep. Like what are some areas in life that you want to explore? What adventures are you going to go on?
we like to travel. So that's one of the things I do want to do. I want to do more traveling. Yep, the bass. I absolutely want to learn that, and maybe another instrument or two. Who knows? What else do I want to do? Probably get back into cars. So I would like to get another car to play with at some point here to keep myself busy.
Right on. Butch, one more question before we hit the rapid fire round. What advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self, I would ask for help when you first thought that you needed it.
Butch, we have hit the rapid fire round. If you could answer these questions in 5 to 10 seconds, that would be great. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the one thing you've learned about yourself on this journey?
That I don't need alcohol to get through hard times.
What is your best sober moment?
My best sober moment would be my honeymoon with my wife in Hawaii.
And what's your favorite alcohol-free drink?
Sparkling flavored water.
What's the point of life, Butch?
I would say to be present.
What's your favorite band of all time?
I like some of the harder stuff of the 90s. So I like Alice in Chains and Pantera probably.
What's your favorite pizza?
Favorite pizza would have to be margarita.
And then what parting piece of guidance can you give to listeners who want to quit drinking?
I would say if you're thinking about it or you think you have a problem, you should probably pay attention to that and definitely look into it.
Butch, this question, it's still in my consciousness. It's been here for about 10 minutes, so I got to ask it. And we're probably a little over 30 minutes, so I think we got some time here. With your children, is part of this new life and sobriety to perhaps reconnect with them?
I would absolutely do anything to reconnect with them. Yes.
And do you think it's more of you've just got to live the sober life for a little while longer before that perhaps might come into play?
Yes, I do. I think they just need to see that I'm serious about it and I mean it, that I'm going to do it, and that I need to just show them that I can be accountable.
Well, cool. We heard it, and there's thousands of listeners who heard it. And so we are going to visualize that and put that out into the universe for you. And you know your job, remain alcohol free and keep working
Absolutely.
out and stay with the club, with the community. I think I heard you say Cafe RE before we hit record, right?
Yes.
Right on, man. Thank you for being a part of that. Have you gone to any chats?
I posted a couple little things in there, but I do plan to get to a chat this weekend.
Okay. That's my favorite part of the community. Yeah, I'd love to see you in a chat. I host a men's meeting tomorrow night, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, think about coming to that. Well, Butch, before we depart, give listeners your own "you might need to ditch the booze if" line.
You might need to ditch the booze if your wife finds you outside sleeping on the sidewalk at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it checks out for sure, man. Butch, great to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank our production team for today's episode. We have our editor, Natasha, Robin on pre-production, and then Chris on the mixing decks, putting it all together. I also want to thank our sponsor, Recovery Elevator. You took the elevator down. You got to take the stairs back up. We can do this.
I see you savor, I see you savor, almighty savor, I see you savor, I see you savor, I see you savor, almighty savor, I see you savor.